it's a special moment. It's really a special moment to be one of, 2,000 or 3,000 people in the world that are going to be at this race. And when you look back and say, like, yeah, it could have happened sooner. Why didn't it happen sooner? I finished a race faster. I finished a race on the, closer to the podium. But this one actually was so rewarding and fulfilling because I just kept going. Like everything, if you look at it on paper, says, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're spending all this money on the race. You keep getting injured. You say that you can, do these times and you still haven't done these times. When is this ever going to end? Do you ever? And I just feel like, back to what we're talking about, I have taken back my power in choosing what I find joy in and choose how I want to spend my time. And that time is spent bringing out the best in me.
Welcome back to the Yogi Triathlete podcast. We are Jess and Beej. We are here right now today recording our July 2021 installment of the O Show, where we are open and honest. We're answering your questions. And today, Beej gets to be more honest than me because all the questions are for him. We are smacking down Ironman Coeur where there was a 27% DNF rate. Some of the biggest numbers Ironman has ever seen. And this guy over here not only
thrived.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if he thrived, but apparently news just in, he thrived and snagged yourself a qualification for the Ironman World Championship in Kona this October, and we are going to be there. So, should we just dive in? Do we have anything that we need to talk about? We're going to be dropping our camp pretty soon, as soon as BJ reviews the camp page. No.
What are the dates? February
3rd to the 7th.
3rd to the 7th. Yeah.
3rd to the 7th. We've got a pretty epic and rigorous training itinerary. It's crossover with trail runners, road runners, triathletes. We'll be splitting up for some of the workouts and coming together for most of them. So check that out. Save the date if you haven't already, but that should be dropping by the end of the month. And if you are watching the video, you may see that Clark has a new bed, which has been a great success. We call it the ship. What do they say with the ship? Bon voyage, Clark, and good night.
Is that what they said on the Love Boat? Like when it would leave?
What do they call it? It's the SS Clark.
So you can see he's only in like a quarter of the bed.
Which would probably be, you would think, a medium. So but I got the large because I got sucked into the Instagram video, which had a golden retriever in it. So it was like double suck. I was in. I had a one-pointed focus.
We could actually fit another dog in there.
I can get in it pretty comfortably. And I
have been meditating in it.
Have been meditating in the dog bed.
So instead of taking up the floor pillows, since the bed is up there and I got to get the cranes in and everything to lower it down into the ground.
The turbo
floor.
thrusters.
I just leave it up there.
So we can dock it.
Grab my meditation pillows and sit in the bed. It's quite comfy.
Yeah, well, it's memory foam. It helps to cool his body. It's good for his joints and his muscles.
Joints.
It is also good for athlete
Keeps
recovery.
me from falling over side to side.
Yeah. So, this whole thing, like you can't meditate because you don't have a spot, or I can't tell you how many people that
yada, yada, yada. I can't meditate.
Guided to the bathroom, the closet. And by the way, when you meditate in your bathroom or your closet, because you don't want to like make a peep in the morning because you don't want your kids to wake up or your partner to wake up, it makes your closet in your bathroom much cleaner. That was also the feedback that I got. And now we're going to add dog bed.
Meditate in the dog bed.
Of meditation approved locations. All right. So bring your dog beds to camp in February. We'll all be meditating. We could probably get 3 yogis in that bed.
Yeah, we definitely can.
3 yogis in the bed.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're drinking some tea. I got some detox tea. What do you got over there?
I have the standard ginger, turmeric, Trader Joe's tea with a sprinkle of cayenne pepper.
That's good.
I need that fire.
Yeah. Cayenne pepper is good for you. All right, cool. Well, I feel like we should just...
Do you want to dive in?
Yeah. I love diving in. Let's dive in.
Yeah, so Ironman Coeur, it just came back this year after being absent for a few years, and they're going to rotate it. So next year, if you're looking to sign up for this amazing race, it's not going to be there. It's going to be 70.3 next year. The full Ironman will happen again in 2023, and I will be there for sure.
And what do you say about somebody who's like, well, I don't want to go because it's a hot race?
Oh, we've been there during many different conditions.
Yeah, we've been there when people have been pulled off the course for hypothermia. So it's kind of like a Lake Placid. Like you can get anything.
So much like Lake Placid.
Maybe not like those crazy mountain storms that Lake Placid has. I don't know. I mean, I've done Ironmans in Lake Placid when there's been hail, but
I would say
definitely temperature fluctuation.
I would say it's more like Mount Tremblant.
Okay.
Why? Because that bike at Mount Tremblant, you go out on the highway and it's big rollers, and that's what I felt Coeur d'Alene was. You go out on the highway and you're rolling along. There's never anything too steep.
How long are you on that highway?
The whole time. Well, except for that little out and back, you're on that highway.
Oh, really? Is it like like I-5, or is it like a road that people just drive like it's a highway?
Probably drive like it's a highway. Yeah. So they have 4 lanes with a median, and they blocked off one side just for bikes and one side just for cars. So the cars are going like this and the bikes are going like this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I liked it. Yeah, it was great.
It's so beautiful there.
So that was my first Ironman and your first Ironman. 2006 was mine and 2008 was yours.
Yeah.
Different bike courses back then. Much more challenging. Went up towards Hayden Lake.
Yep.
Much more challenging than what we did
I remember
last weekend.
I was not doing well at all the first 10 miles of the marathon because I got the worst advice ever, and I went all in with it, which is just eat as much as you possibly can on the bike. That was the plan. Eat as much. So I ate so much, and then the first 10 miles of the run was just awful. And I remember that one aid station we were reminiscing when like you kind of came flying out of a porta-john and you were on your second loop and I was on my first loop, and I'm like, how you doing? You're like, oh, like you were not doing well. I was not doing well. And it was so beautiful and awesome. And I loved every minute of it. I loved that experience of because I had never put myself into such physical duress before. And then of course, eating as much as you possibly can on the bike, which is not good advice. I was like, I wonder if I'm going to die today. And there was something about that, like being so close to an unknown like that, because I really didn't know. It was my first one. I didn't know what to expect or what I was doing, and ignorance is bliss. But there was that piece of it on the edge that I really liked a lot. And then to see the body pull back and be resilient and then feel really good for the last 16 miles. But this is not the 2008 Ironman Smackdown. So here we go. All right, we have a series of questions from Kat, and I think we're just going to dive right into them because she always has amazing questions, and she's so enthusiastic, and we love her so much. All right, for the Smackdown, methods you used for battling the extreme heat. Describe your lowest point, so I'm assuming in regards to the heat, if those two coincide, and how you got through it.
Yeah, so what was the first question? What was my strategy for the heat?
Yeah, what is the strategy you used for battling the heat? And do you think that was what was your strategy going into it? Or what was your strategy?
Yeah, so pretty simply leading into it, I just upped my salt intake and electrolyte intake. I really didn't drink much water, like straight up water. It most often had a goo hydration tablet in it. And if it didn't, it was Roctane. So I was definitely bumping up my electrolyte game in the days leading in, for sure, like the 2 or 3 days leading in. And then for the race day, I just had a strategy of just consuming liquids, more Roctane than normal. I think I took an extra serving. And every 10 to 15 minutes, I would make sure I was getting that in. And then every 20 to 30 minutes, I was licking base salt. I just felt salt was for me, because I'm a heavy sweater, I need extra salt. And then in the aid stations, always on the bike, pouring water on my head and filling up my bike hydration system, but always grabbing a bottle. Every aid station, I didn't stop. I kind of rolled through really slowly, poured it over my head, on my jersey, behind my neck, and then filled the hydration thing. And then
when
tossed
did you start cooling off? Like, when did you start pouring the water?
I don't think I ever cooled off.
No, but when did you start pouring the water on yourself?
Oh, the first bike aid station.
Right.
So mile 10, I think.
So before you're even warm.
Well, I was talking with Daniel about this. The first, I don't know, hour, 2 hours of the bike, it was kind of cool. Like, you're in the shade, protected by the mountain, that mountaintop. And then the breeze was picking up. So you could have been get involved in a false sense of like, oh, today's actually going to be cool and I can actually push it a little bit. And that wasn't my plan. I knew that I needed to actually reduce what my expectations were for the effort I was going to put out on the bike, because I just want to conserve. Like, it's only going to get hotter. We had been there for a few days. We noticed 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock would come at night, and it was probably the hottest it was all day. So it's only going to get hotter from the moment you're in.
And Sunday was, starting Sunday, because Monday, Tuesday, like the days after the race were also really hot. But Sunday, it just spiked. Like the universe turned up the
oven. Yeah,
for sure. And then put a hairdryer down on Coeur d'Alene.
And then some coals.
And then like some lighters. Got out all the torches.
Yeah.
All right, describe your lowest point and how you got through it.
My lowest point was probably on the run. I would say lap 3. I want to say lap 3. And I think I only had a few miles left, but I was getting really, really dizzy. I remember getting really dizzy, kind of like teetering. And I made a note to myself I'm not running. I'm not walking anything but aid stations, like only aid stations. And so I pushed through a few moments between aid stations, and I think I kind of got down a little bit.
What does that look like for you?
What does down look like?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Did you want to quit?
Not quit. No, I never want to quit. I don't think quitting ever comes into my awareness, but slowing down for sure.
Like bumming out about
Bumming out. And even walking, I don't walk that. Like, I walk the aid stations, but I never really walk much in between. But how did I pull myself out of that? I was able to shift focus. I was able to come back to dig deep, stay strong, which is our buddy Troy had WhatsApped me the night before and kind of stuck with me. But also that I'd worked so hard for this to get to this point came into my awareness. Like, I kept momentum going when, all through last year, through my injury in January and February, and I just kept all this momentum going, and I owed it to myself to keep pushing on. Yeah. I think gratitude too. I was very grateful. I was very grateful to be alive. I've had we both have some traumatic experiences recently in our lives, and I felt in those low moments that emotion get stirred up, and those that had left this earth, I just felt they would want me to give it my best, to pull myself up and get out of this funk and continue on. Yeah. Yeah.
So BJ's talking about our dear friend Mary, who left this earth in quite a abrupt manner. She lost her life in a domestic violence situation, and she was. A lot of people in this community know her. She's been on the podcast, very, very close to us. She definitely would have been kicking your butt to the finish. Like, nobody can quit on her watch.
No,
right? Now she's watching.
I thought a lot about Mount Tremblant when I spend a lot of time with her there.
Yeah.
And then my mom.
Yeah. And then a couple months before that, BJ's mom left the earth quite unexpectedly. It was a hell of a couple, and then you were injured, and it's like you couldn't even go and run. It was like the universe was like, you sit in it, and you learn how to feel, and you learn how to let things pass through you. Yeah, because this path isn't about not feeling. It's not about never having negative thoughts. It's not about not feeling sad. It's not about that. It doesn't mean if you meditate, you won't have some horrific tragedy happen in your life. But it wakes you up to how to navigate that and continue to live vibrantly and beautifully and in honor of those who have walked this earth, and no longer are here. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt them. I felt the energy, power. Just that emotion come up. And it really wasn't like, I'm like crying or anything. But I felt, a few brief moments of, just some, a little bit of sadness. But it was so quick because the sadness turned to, you get going. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, don't linger in this. Like we're here. Yes, we're here. We're just gotta go.
Yeah,
like, you gotta keep moving.
Both Mary and Terry,
for sure,
is your mom. Was your mom's name? Both Mary and Terry would have been like, get out of the aid station. Yeah, totally. So that's how you got through it. That's good.
That's how we got through it.
Okay. Next question, actually, Tracy chimed in on Kat's question, and so we'll go to Tracy's question. What was the plan for the heat? Which I think you just answered. And then also, was there a drop in pace? And I'm thinking the way that she phrased this is, did you plan to have a drop in pace?
No, never.
But it sounds like you went a little more conservative on the bike. That was a conservative bike time for you.
It was conservative. I definitely could have biked stronger, faster, for sure. I definitely was conservative on it. But my pace dropped on the run, for sure. I think I saw you at mile 1.5-ish, mile 2, not mile 2 yet, probably 1.5, when you were there with Hillary. And I asked you where I was, and I was feeling good. Like, I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. Like, I can hold this pace. This is awesome. It definitely went downhill after that. Everybody
went downhill, though. Another thing that Tracy notes is like there was not much change in position.
Nope.
Your age, and I've seen this before. I'm not monitoring other age groups, so I'm sure, unless somebody we know is going for the win or a Kona spot. But I don't really monitor movement in age groups like I do with yours, and typically you see a lot of movement. And also, it's really hard when you say, where am I? Or I'm trying to tell you where you are, and because it's always changing depending on swim times and things like that. Because there's no mass starts anymore. Two thumbs down.
And there's no body marking anymore.
But your age group was not budging. Everybody was slowing down, but nobody was falling apart. There was a couple guys that jockeyed position a couple times, but nobody went from like second place to eighth place.
No, and even looking at my number, I
Nobody
looked
was
at where
budging.
I was in relation to the day. I was in 20 to 24 the entire time. 20-something fastest swim, 20-something fastest bike, 20-something fastest run.
So everybody was just consistent, but you were all slowing down because those were slow run times for that age group. Everybody was running close to, pretty much top 25 were running close to 4 hours, if not over 4 hours, which is... You don't see that in your age group. I think the guy who won ran a 3:13, which is incredibly impressive on a day like that.
Our buddy Billy Half just over a 3:30.
Oh my God, yeah, that's great.
I just kept seeing him, and he was just so dialed in, like focused. It was so awesome to race with him.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
That was super fun. How many Kona slots were there? So how many Kona slots were there total, and what did you have in your age group?
There were 200 slots, so it had gone from 40, which is the traditional Ironman, to 150. And then a couple days before the race, it went up to 200. And I'm assuming it's because Mount Tremblant was canceled, which is one of the last races to North American races to qualify for this year's Kona. So I think that's why it happened, but it doesn't matter why. There were 200 slots, and there were 21 spots in my age group.
All right. Tracy says, overall, well done.
Great. Thank you.
So happy for you.
I'm so happy.
All right. We're gonna get back to Kat, but we've got another one from Pam. When will you be opening the team store? Sorry. This is not
the team
about,
store.
But actually that's not it's already
It's open, but then it closed.
Yeah, but
by
then
the time
it's
this
gonna
launches,
close.
yeah.
Okay, so, all right. Hi, Pam. Thanks for that question. Okay.
That's awesome.
Because our gear is super sweet.
Our gear is sweet. I got a lot of shout outs on the gear.
Yeah, really excited about it.
People like that. Yeah.
Okay, going back to Kat.
Okay, Kat.
Did the I am the heat mantra get you through any low points, or did it prevent any low points?
It got me through low points. I don't think you can prevent. I don't think there's anything you can do to prevent. You can't block anything out. It's like when it arises, because it's going to arise, what's your relationship with that? So, and the reason I threw that out there, I am the heat, is because I wanted to get that ingrained in my, my thoughts, my beliefs that I am the heat. So I can match. I don't want to so much crave being colder. I want to meet and welcome the heat so that we are one, that we can snuggle up together on the couch and just get to know each other. That's why I was putting that out there. I am the heat. So I kept saying, I am the heat, because when you start to, the alternative to this is like, oh, it's so hot out, and now you're bringing awareness and attention to something extreme. And basically, when you do that, you're saying that you're not hot. So there's a difference. So now you're going to suffer because you can't meet that temperature. And this was going through my mind. So I just wanted to meet heat, be the heat, meet the heat, be the heat.
Well, you are. You're not.
Love the heat.
You're not separate from the field. You're not separate. Your body is part of the field. If anybody's seen The Legend of Bagger Vance or The Peeps and Awake Athlete, that was our first assignment, was to watch that movie, which is Hollywood's version of the Bhagavad Gita. But you are not separate from the heat. And so once we become separate, and the heat is something we can't control, and we're feeling the effects of that, we can feel like we're being victimized by it, right? And I use that word because that's a state of powerlessness. And
you're giving your power to the heat.
Yeah. Or it feels like it's taking it from you, right? And so when you do that, you're just one with all things. You're one with the heat. You are the sun. You're the sunburn.
I'm the water. I'm the waves. I'm like everything.
You're the aid station table. Mm-hmm. You're everything, babe.
I'm the chafe.
But you didn't have any chafe.
I didn't have any chafe.
Why? What's going on?
Nut butter.
I know, it's the magic sauce.
I don't know why it took me so long to use that stuff. It's awesome. I mean, I have permanent scars. I'm looking at them right now on my leg.
Yeah, it looks like you got into a really crazy knife fight. Mm-hmm.
Like they just sawed my thighs. But Squirrel's nut butter again showed up. I've been chafeless since I've been using it.
Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. Another one from Kat. Did you feel swirly sensations during the race?
I did on the swim, before the swim.
And how did you respond?
I took a deep breath. And the swirly sensations were excitement. Like I felt that like nervousness of I'm getting to start this. Like I've been waiting so long to do my next Ironman, and the excitement was welling up and I could feel the butterflies. Yeah. And so I just took a deep breath. I remember just standing there in line with the group of swimmers, just waiting and waiting and waiting, just taking deep, deep breaths, deeper and deeper and deeper. And that just brings me back into calm. Although it was an excitement, I know myself, and being calm, entering the water is for me, just really sets me up. If I'm calm within the first, 100, 200 meters, it's going to be a great swim.
Did you have any other swirly sensations throughout the race?
I guess when I finished, I was kind of dizzy.
Literally you were swirling.
I was swirling. But no excitement or fear. There's none of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. Did you feel like you were overriding messages from the brain that were begging you to stop or slow down?
For sure.
And how did you respond to those messages? And did your approach change during the race?
I just say, I'm here right now. I'm here right now. most of the messages were saying was on the run to walk or to ease back. And as I reflect on it, you got to be really careful about those moments, because you start to build a pattern where you start walking more, or running, walking, and you create this pattern. And before you know it, it's already the habit is like created and sustained immediately. And so as your mind wanders and drifts, you're just going to walk. You're just going to do what you're doing. So I was able to come back to awareness just simply by focusing on right now. Like, I'm here right now. I'm right now. Oh, okay. And it would snap me out of it. The other thing was the hills. I as the race got on and we go up these smaller hills, a flash came into me. Like, I run hills. Like, I purposefully run hills, and I do lots of them, and I repeat, and I go up and down, biking and running. So why wouldn't I run the hills? I've done it many times faster than I'm running now. So why wouldn't I run the hills? I'm plenty fit enough. It's not going to tax me any more than I'm taxed right now. So I made sure I ran every hill, and I made sure I ran it just a little bit more extra, because I know in the back of my mind, I've done these hill workouts. But again, I can see how people get so caught up in, I'm just going to walk the hills. Everybody else is walking. I don't have the legs right now. And
yeah, I would say that's not a plan I would recommend going into a race with.
Is what?
I'm going to walk the hills. Don't plan to walk.
No, don't plan to walk.
You might walk, but don't plan to walk.
This is why you get fit. This is why you train. This is why you do the work, to showcase it on race day. So yeah,
that's what race day is for. Leave it out there.
Run the hills.
Run the hills.
Yeah.
But run the hills in training too.
Run the hill. Train.
Okay.
Number one.
Train.
Run some hills in there would be number two.
You would think that's a given, but it's not. All right. What else do we got? Okay, she says, that's it. That's all the questions. Oh, one more, she says.
Cat. Always wanting more.
I love it. How is the midnight finish line?
I love the midnight finish. I can't believe I even had a temporary, small, tiny inkling thought that I wasn't going to walk back down there. We were staying about less than a mile from the start. We didn't have a car, so we were walking. And so we both came back. You said you weren't going. We were already laying in bed watching TV, and I'm like,
I passed out. I don't remember you leaving or coming home.
So I just acted. I was like, I gotta go. There's no way I'm gonna miss this. Plus Karen and Wendy were down there. Karen just finished our first Ironman. The midnight finish is amazing. If you can get right up close to the railings there and start banging the board, how everybody bangs the board, and you see the big screen, and Mike Riley's jumping up and down and swirling his towel around. And
it's just so cool to think that they started when you started. I mean, they might have started a little bit because of the rolling start stuff.
Oh, the people who are finishing.
They all did the same.
Yeah.
You all did the same course.
And what's funny is I kind of recall seeing people along the side as I was finishing myself down Sherman Ave. But when I was on the other side of the fence, I just felt that the people who were finishing were just so appreciative of having spectators still out there. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have the stadium. Normally they have the bleachers. I'm assuming COVID, they didn't want people to stack up there.
The bleacher industry is suffering.
Bleacher industry. Oh my God. I hadn't even thought about that. But it was super exciting. I'd never want to miss a midnight finish if I'm at an Ironman. I just love the energy. I like to be a part of it. I simply just want to be a part of that community. It's as easy as that, Kat.
All right, 2 more questions from Telsey's. How do you feel now that Kona is in your sights?
How do I feel? I've been getting this question a lot. I feel all the excitement. I feel all the joy. I feel the fulfillment, the accomplishment of actually achieving what I've been working for, and you've seen firsthand, for quite a long time. And it's a special moment. It's really a special moment to be one of, 2,000 or 3,000 people in the world that are going to be at this race. And when you look back and say, like, yeah, it could have happened sooner. Why didn't it happen sooner? I finished a race faster. I finished a race on the, closer to the podium. But this one actually was so rewarding and fulfilling because I just kept going. Like, everything, if you look at it on paper, says, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're spending all this money on the race. You keep getting injured. You say that you can, do these times, and you still haven't done these times. When is this ever going to end? Do you ever? And I just feel like, back to what we're talking about, I have taken back my power in choosing what I, choosing what I find joy in, and choose how I want to spend my time. And that time is spent bringing out the best in me. Like, I know that I could do this, and I've known I can do this for a long time. So to have it come into fruition after a year of no racing, but actually I did I snuck in and got that 70.3 Arizona. I feel like all the momentum that I kept putting out there, I kept training, never stopped training, did the 70.3 Arizona, then, had some injury in my leg and was unable to do some things, but I kept doing what I could do, kept momentum moving forward, had a small thought that, how am I ever going to do an Ironman in June? This was back in January, February. And then 70.3, St. George came up, St. George 70.3, and I was able to race that. And it was like, okay, things are moving forward. And then I had a few weeks to prepare for Coeur d'Alene. So I feel accomplished. I feel there's no comparison to being consistent and to believing with all your faculties, everything that you have, that you can achieve something and keep going despite the physical proof that says maybe it's not possible. Yeah. It's quite an accomplishment, Kona and 70.3 Worlds in the same year. This is the testament to believing in something and relentlessly pursuing it.
It's a good answer. All right, one final question from Liz, running on Venti. Were you surprised to get Kona with this Ironman, or did you have an inner knowing?
Oh, I absolutely had an inner knowing. I mean, we booked our place to Kona a few months ago, like 2 months ago. Yeah, we booked our place. I had a feeling. I think after St. George, I was like, okay, we got to do this.
It's time.
We got to go to Kona.
But I think, we just felt like it was, I don't know, we just knew.
Yeah, so you may be like, you're listening to this and like, well, how do you know? How do you know? I believe that when you understand yourself, when you start to get a relationship with your true self, what's underneath all this stuff on surface.
That's not separate from the future or the past or the universe or the heat. So you get access to information where you just know it. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's that part inside.
Yeah. I don't think you can read a book or listen to a podcast or, watch a motivational video. I don't, or get a certification. I think you just need to take the education of getting to know yourself. And how do you do that? You just spend time with yourself in stillness and in movement, but most often in stillness when the real stuff comes up. And then you'll know, like, I know I'm not bullshitting here. Like, I know deep down inside that I'm capable of achieving this. I knew it. I have known for a while. Where I got caught up was in the attachment of when it needed to happen. And we all know that caused a lot of suffering and pain. And then I realized I don't want suffering and pain. And so I removed the timeline and just focused on what brought me joy, which was striving for this goal. So now that I've achieved it, I always knew it, and I know I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, and I think it was, for me, it was more of like, it was knowing that it was time for YogiTriathlete to be in Kona. Like, it was time for us to be in Kona. Whether that came with a qualification or not, and I think that's the detachment piece. It was just like, you're going. So when we get those hits, we like to act on them as opposed to waiting for the physical evidence. So we were willing and ready and awake to the fact that we were going. And, but then, we both kind of felt also the momentum, all the years, the momentum that the qualification was also coming. And it's not to say that we don't read books or
No.
You're certified in plant-based nutrition. I'm certified massage therapist, certified in, Main Street, but it's the Vegan Academy. So we're not saying don't do that. All of those things were extremely important part of my path. But there's no replacement for the encyclopedia of all that is, all that was, and all that ever will be that resides within you right now. Like every single one of us, it's in there. Meditator Bob was telling us, I don't know, maybe like a month ago or so, when he would go and be with his teacher, Swami Satchidananda, who is the founder of Yogaville, and he actually wrote the translation of the Yoga Sutras, which is a very popular translation of the sutras. Anyway, he would sit and his teacher would say, "So do you have a question? Do you have a question for me?" And Bob was like, "Yeah, I got a question." He was like a whole, let me get out my notepad, He said, "Yeah, I have questions." And his teacher would say, "Okay, let's meditate." Like he wouldn't tell him the answers. He didn't want to even hear the questions because he knew that the answers were already within him. So
you need to trust yourself, right? Isn't it trusting?
But you trust from building relationship. Just like you trust a coach from building the relationship, you trust yourself from building the relationship with that relationship with not what you do for work, not how much you make, not what your house looks like. It's not what you do and who you are and what your name is. It's the nameless. It's the nobody part of you that's inside. Like we were saying the other day, like the ultimate goal is to become nobody, right?
Because then when you're nobody, you're everybody.
You're everybody. You're everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's profound.
Yeah. Kind of takes the pressure off too.
Yeah.
Ram Dass has a good podcast. It's on the Here and Now network, but it's the Ram Dass podcast. Ram Dass left the earth a couple of years ago or last year. I think right before, like in maybe late 2019, he was out of here. And anyway, it's called Becoming Nobody. That's a great episode. And he's so funny. You were on a major Ram Dass binge.
I was.
Hardcore.
I go on these binges where I can't even...
See, you go on binges.
I can't even listen to music. It's just like... I need to hear somebody talking about spirituality and oneness and nothingness. I need it. Except when after a long ride, when I'm heading back and I need to stay awake.
Yeah.
Like I put a Ram Dass on the sun is baking.
Yeah.
Low on calories. Then you put in some trance music.
All right. I think that's all we had for questions. Should we talk about how we navigated food, not having a car and being in a hotel room?
I absolutely want to talk about that.
I think that's a good, because we've got time here.
Yeah.
So why don't you take the lead on that? Because we have no kitchen.
Well, I booked a place.
We have no car.
I booked a place based on proximity. And at the time I booked the place, a lot of places were gone.
Well, and also the belief that we get it done. Like we're so resourceful.
Yeah.
After living out of our car for 6 months.
We know how to get it done.
We know how to make kale salads on the side of the highway. See,
He's now filling
that's why the large
bed.
bed. See, and he
loves it. He's got his head up against
face
it.
tuck.
So I booked this place and there's no kitchen, but it was less than a mile from the start, which is what we wanted. And in the days leading in, I was texting or messaging the owner about, cooking facilities. Like, is there anything? I know there's a microwave, but is there anything that we can, is there a common room? And there was, and they were actually constructing it. They were putting, appliances in. And so they weren't sure if they were going to be done by the time that we were there. So I just kept leaving up hope that, this would be cool. And I think 2 days before I messaged her, and it wasn't gonna be ready, but there's a grill in the back, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm just gonna grill the tempeh and we can microwave the rice. And then I reached out to one of our athletes who had a hotel and a room with a kitchen, and I just asked if I could spend an hour up there doing some food prep right by the race start. And she graciously said yes. So I spent, an hour there just preparing all our food, but there were other things that we could cook and get just from using the microwave.
And we were on the hunt for tempeh for a little while. So we had our bikes. I flew my bike up there. On Alaska Airlines, the bikes are $35 per bike one way, which is amazing. So that was our transportation, was bikes.
Yeah. So we had a grocery store right across the street from us.
We did.
A grocery store. We were resourceful.
It's called Harvest Foods, but I think the title's a little misleading.
But it had everything we needed, like
most things.
Most things we needed except tempeh. So we were on the hunt for tempeh because I have tempeh sandwiches for lunch.
The
both
produce
days.
Was a little. I felt bad for the produce.
Yeah. But being resourceful.
But I did get a bag. I got a thing of like greens.
Yep.
Like a plastic thing of greens.
Tofu.
Which we ended up throwing hummus in and some tofu. And we just ate out of that at night. I went to the burger and ice cream place next door and I got spoons.
Oh, yeah, because we had no bowls, no silverware.
Yeah, we had nothing. So we were eating out of the container of the lettuce. And then once that was done, you use that to store the pancakes.
Right.
After you cook them over at Karen and Wendy's.
So I traveled with the oats, the oat mix. I forgot baking powder, but Karen had bought baking powder because they had a bunch of bananas that were too ripe. So Wendy made banana bread and she needed baking powder. So I had that in the place. And just made the food and brought it back. Like I cooked up a bunch of tempeh and we found everything we needed. This is the whole thing. Like we got everything we needed. Even the vegan pizza at that fire kitchen. Can't remember the name of it.
It was a wood fire. They cook their pizzas over a wood fire.
Yeah.
It's an artisan pizza place called Fire. It was delicious.
It was so good.
They spoke the vegan language. So there's if you guys are ever there and you want vegan pizza, this place called Fire is delicious. It's on Sherman Ave and you get the Garden State. And you just don't get they have vegan cheese, but I'm not interested in vegan cheese.
No vegan cheese.
Unless it's like
legit
Miyoko's or Jules but they're pretty much just going to put the normal stuff on there, which is just coagulated
What else
oil.
did we do that was resourceful? I know we've hunted down and got the tempeh. We got the
tempeh. Yeah, we just rode our bikes. You stayed outside. I went in. And then
it was frozen.
Well, then they didn't have any. I'm like talking to the guy from the meat department. He's like, I don't think I have any in the meat department. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. But I ended up having this conversation with these two guys, and now they know what tempeh is.
Oh, that was at the Safeway.
And they were like, wow, that sounds like that's probably pretty healthy. And so, but then they directed us to this place called Pilgrim Foods, which was more of a harvest type foods place, and got some tempeh. But even there, like they just had one kind, and it was frozen. It was interesting. So tempeh's not big in Coeur d'Alene.
No.
I wouldn't say it's a vegan hub, but it was vegan friendly. Like we found the Calypso, which had vegan burritos, which were delicious. So you always find your way, And we had, so our pre-race why don't you say what your pre-race meal is? Because a lot of times people will be like, well, I do pasta and I got to boil it. And
oh yeah, I had rice and avocado, which is my new thing.
good.
And we bought boil in a bag rice, white rice, but it's not microwavable. It was in the pot.
Well, you need a bowl. We didn't have a bowl.
You need a bowl, yeah. So I just cooked it over the pot while I was making pancakes. So I cooked 4 bags of white rice, so I had plenty of white rice for the night so the race is Sunday, so Friday night and Saturday night I had that for dinner.
And we got a little sleeve of bagels and some almond butter and bananas, and we would have that for breakfast. Like we kind of go mono eating when we're in a situation
Tons
like
of
this,
bananas.
so we don't have like a ton of food. And I feel myself like, oh my God, I just want spinach so bad. But then I remind myself, well, this is why you eat the way you eat, so that for 4 days in a row, you can have a cinnamon raisin bagel with almond butter on it.
So good.
It was good. And we'd make them up in the morning and we'd share one on the way down to the lake for a swim. And then we'd share one on the way back. And then there was a Keurig, which was actually probably better than normal hotel coffee, unless you're in Costa Rica where the hotel coffee is really good.
You got to drop that. Huh?
But we did have the Keurig, which we had to, finesse a little bit and talk nice to and do all these other things to get it to work. But that came through for the first punch.
Coffee. We got to talk about the coffee.
Go.
What was the
first of all,
Coeur d'Alene? What?
Well, we found out that California is actually expensive.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So the first day we went to go get coffee, a medium was like $1.98. I was like, how big is the cup? Here it's like $4.
Yeah, I'm used to spending at least $3 for a cup of
drip coffee. It was $1.98. It's mind blowing.
Well, when I ordered the pizza from Fire, I was like, oh, babe, it's only $17. I'm used to getting, when we get a vegan pizza at the pizza shop, it's $40. So we just tipped really big. I tipped big the whole time I was there because it wasn't like I was trying to make it match what I spent in California, but it was like, I get to save a little bit of money here, so I'm going to share that abundance. So I just tipped big.
Yeah.
Wherever I went. So yeah, the coffee.
Coeur d'Alene Coffee Company.
That was probably the best.
The best.
But I can't deny my girls at Fine Brewed, Bailey over at Fine Brewed. I was there many times a day getting smoothies. That's another thing. Like coffee shops have smoothies. It's a great way to get some bang of nutrition if you're in a hotel room kind of situation. But Coeur d'Alene Coffee was.
Coeur d'Alene Coffee.
There was a couple other places. We don't need to name them.
Well, Calypso had the decaf iced brew, which was
cold brew, amazing.
Cold brew, which is the bomb. Like, I didn't want caffeine the day of, like in the afternoon, but it was just so good. It was legit. It wasn't brown water. It was actually like cold brew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? I think that was the resort. What about landing in the airport at midnight and expecting an Uber or a Lyft to take us 40 minutes to our Airbnb, only to realize they didn't have Lyft or Uber at that time of night or at all.
But we didn't freak out.
Nope.
We went right into solution mode. You were like, I'm going to go see if I can download the app for Lyft. And I just stood on the sidewalk and I was like, all right, show me the way. And this guy in a minivan pulls up.
Backs in.
He looks at me. I look at him. He goes past me. He stops. He backs up right in front of me. Backs into a spot right in front of me. I was like, okay, is this what you wanted me to see? So I walked up to him. I said, hey, can you give me a ride to Coeur d'Alene? And he was like, well, I'm picking somebody up. How many do you have? And he was so cool, so mellow, such a nice guy. I said, there's two of us. I said, we have 2 bikes. And he's like, oh, I got to see if this guy's got a bike too. I don't know if we can fit it in. But then I called you and I said, get back here. I think I got us a ride.
Yeah, so I arranged the bikes in there, and he was surprised that there was actually room. Like if there was another bike, there's plenty of room. And so he was connecting with that guy, and he said, go. I said, I'll go help him. Like, he seems like he's frustrated, like he can't get down here quick enough or down, make his way. So I'll go help him. So I went down there. I'm like, Sean. Sean. So Sean had a bike case, and we go back to the van, and we put his bike in, and everybody just piled into the car, and his T-shirt says, try Scottsdale. So we come to find out he's staying with our buddy, Dan Bieber.
Right. And he knew Mary, friend Mary. So
and like Jan, like he knew everybody.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was That was so interesting.
It's just,
and he goes, did you see my post in the Coeur d'Alene Facebook group? He's like, I posted that I had this ride, and did anybody want to share it? Did you hear that part?
yeah, but I didn't check the Facebook page.
Yeah, and I said, no, but it was just, so it's like, you're just provided for, like, stay in solution energy. Like, I just stood there and I was like, all right, show me the way. Show me how I'm going to get to Coeur d'Alene.
I'm not surprised anymore that
I'm not
these things
surprised
happen.
either. No, it was perfect. And then we ended up booking a ride with him. Yeah, and he took us back. So.
Yeah. John.
What was
Gotta get there. Gotta
go, something like that.
Gotta go fly or something like that.
Gotta fly. Yes. So if anybody's listening to this, give this guy some biz. He's super cool.
He's awesome. He goes back and forth from Coeur d'Alene to Spokane Airport.
Yeah,
like
super
nonstop.
cool dude. Really mellow, nice guy. Totally took care of us. So, it's good. All right, now I think we're done. I feel like Kat. No, that's it. Wait, one more.
Wait. So what's next? Come see us in St. George for Worlds. We're going to be there for a few days. It's going to be freaking awesome. And then come to Kona. See us in Hawaii. I'm just like we're going to be back in these environments of the best in the world. The best in the world. Best in the world.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And then we'll be at Ironman California.
2 weeks after Kona, we'll be at Ironman California. So if you're going to go, let us know. We'd love to connect. We're getting a big crew up there.
So I have a question for you. So what's your goal now with Ironman?
I want to win my age group.
Have you had that race yet where everything comes together?
No. And so you could say this experience that I've had this year, lightens the pressure of actually trying to, get to the big dance, get to the big race. And so now I can just race from the pure joy of it. And I think there's some truth to that, but I don't feel like an overwhelming, like I finally made it. So now I can just go.
Now I can be happy.
I feel like I've been happy. I am happy. And I feel this momentum that I feel like I still have my best race yet. I'm approaching 50. I just feel I'm faster than I am. And if I feel that, there's no proof otherwise that I'm not that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I would say it was a Kona effort. I mean, starting in November when your mom left the world, like it's just been a Kona effort. This whole just keeping it going, keeping moving when all you could do is walk when you were back east for your mom's ceremonies. And you walked a mile down the street to our friend's house, to Val's house, and you took her yoga class because your body was in so much pain. Like that was moving you forward. That was Kona effort. And this race was Kona effort. Even though your times don't like your swim, we still don't know what was going on with the swim. That time isn't, it's not,
it's just
it doesn't add up. But I would say that effort was a Kona effort out there. Mm-hmm. And it had started months ago, just keeping it going, believing in it, never wavering, staying the course. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's for, and every single guy ahead of you, those guys were amazing. They were amazing. Nobody was falling apart. Every single one of you guys were just soldiering, like warrior. That's what I was yelling at people. I'm like, you're getting warrior status today. This is warrior status. And that's really what it was. It was warrior status. It was insane. And Karen, congratulations, Karen, YogiTriathlete athlete, one of your athletes, Beej, amazing performance. Ironman Coeur d'Alene, Daniel, our triathlon coach, and your athlete, just amazing performance out there. He had some adversity that he was dealing with in the days leading up, and just so impressive how, God, what an honor to watch you guys. Everybody gets out of the swim. It's like, whew, okay, everybody gets off the bike safe. It's like, oh. And then usually it's like, oh, they're going to be fine. It's the run. But then the temperature's 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 107. And my job was just to keep rooting you on and keeping you moving and let go of, not be the worry, not be the doubt, not be the, oh my God, am I pushing my husband into a complete collapse? And you just got to let go. My job is to keep you moving. That's what Scotty D yelled at me. He's like, you keep it moving.
Yeah. Keep moving.
Yeah. And shout out to Carrie.
Oh, Carrie. Yeah.
Carrie Lester, who crushed it.
Amazing race. 40 years old. And
she is the heat, baby.
Keeps crushing and winning races. I don't know what her limits are. I don't think there are.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we're done. Are we done?
We're done.
All right. Any final words? Somebody who has a goal, maybe it's just to complete a triathlon, do a 5K, qualify for Kona. They're all equal goals in my eyes. Words of whiz?
You got to have unwavering faith and belief in yourself. And if you're not quite there yet, you need to surround yourself with people who support you in achieving something so big, because they'll see the importance of it to you and how much it means to you, and they'll help bring that energy that is the energy that's already inside you. Will help bring that out a little bit more, so that you do have that trust and self-belief. But it's everything. You're going to be challenged. You're going to come up with against so many brick walls and things that say you shouldn't be doing this or can't do this. And you have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have that knowing. And there's no way to purchase it or collect it or insert it. It's simply just keep having experiences that put you in a realm of challenging what you believe to be safe and comfortable.
Well said. Thanks, Beach.
Thank you.
Smackdown.
Kona style.